Hey, book besties. So, I wanted to come to you guys today and talk about three of my favorite adult fantasy series. Don't get me wrong, I love a good YA, NA. I love it. I love fantasy. Who am I kidding? But sometimes I'm in the mood for something a little more adult feel. The first one I'm going to mention is Jade City, The Greenbone Saga by Fonda Lee. This book series is so good, and they're chunky. They're worth the chunk. This book follows the Call family, who is kind of like the head of Kekon. They control the jade in the city, and the jade is what gives people their magical abilities, their magical powers, and kind of gives off like mafia style vibes, but it's an urban fantasy. It is so good. I mean, you mess with one of the Call family, you've messed with all of them. These siblings are morally gray to a T, and they will absolutely do anything to defend one another. And you also get to watch over a long lifespan over the three books in the series. It's it's definitely full circle. Like you don't leave the series wanting more because you've gotten it all. The next book I want to talk about is City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. Now, this completely different style. This takes place in Egypt. It is Egyptian magic. There are, I believe it's the jinn. Yeah, yeah. But it follows our FMC Nari, who goes on this wild ride and finds herself meeting the jinn. Not only does she meet the jinn, she gets taken to their city in Daevabad and gets thrown into a world of politics and hatred and fear. And it is just such a great story. This one is also a trilogy, and it's a really good read. The last one I want to mention today is The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. It also has another book, The World We Make. It's a duology. This book is so unique, but I expect nothing less from N.K. Jemisin. It is a mix of fantasy and sci fi. And basically, the city of New York is a living, breathing thing, and it's embodied in one person who has to fight this other being from another world. And each borough also manifests in a person who represents that borough. This book is so interesting. And the way that it embodies New York into physical human beings is it's amazing. I enjoyed this book. I enjoyed the themes in this book. I highly recommend reading this, especially if you haven't read anything by N.K. Jemisin. I think this is a really good starting point if you're wanting to get into their work. So, these are the three books that I really, really like that are more adult fantasy. So, if you do go to check them out, I'd love to hear your thoughts on them. And if you've already read them, let me know.